2.
What's going on, fellow park enthusiasts? This is the Park Geeks, and after a very eventful summer, we're back. And summer's not even over yet. I'm here with Curt and Daniel. Hopefully, Raul will be joining us here later. And Curt also recently just got back from his summer travels going to various regional parks. And one of them you actually went to during 4th of July.
Yeah, I actually braved it. Yeah. My trip was wrapping up. Originally, I was going to Cedar Point, Ohio. I was going to go there like 5th through the 9th originally, but I had some time in my schedule. I could drive up, on the 4th of July in the afternoon. I could actually make it by about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Maybe I can drop in and see what's happening. I got my pass holder, so, it doesn't cost anything to try. And I showed up, and there was actually still room left in the parking lot, although I was parking farther out than I've ever parked before. It was all the way at the end of the lot. But I actually got into the park, and it wasn't that bad. It was actually reasonable. I actually
really?
I have the at least it's a Cedar Fair park, and the nice thing about their park is you can buy an all-season, all-park express pass for their parks, and it's awesome. You can go to any park, and you skip to the front of the line on any of the major rides every time you visit. It's unlike the Universal Express Pass. You only use it once. It's unlimited use. So if you want to go on the big roller coaster 10 times in a row, you can go on 10 times in a row through the express line. It's really awesome. So yeah, I actually had fun. I don't know. I don't think I've ever counted. I think I've been through. It'd probably be a Great America, because I go to Great America is my local park, so I go there all the time. Probably Gold Striker. I've probably done like 10 times in a row, a few times, something like that, something crazy. Yeah.
I guess I can still feel that. I can still feel the head whip on that thing.
Oof.
Yeah, it's a good ride. It's a good ride. Yeah, but Cedar Point was actually very livable on 4th of July. I was surprised. It was
really?
definitely was busy.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely don't want to try to get food during the peak meal hours. That's for sure. But that's a huge park. So they've got capacity, and they can hold a lot of people in there. I mean, it's like from the main entrance to the park to the back of the park, it's something close to a mile. That's how big this park is. It's insanely big. Like if you're at the back of the park and you decide you want to go see a show that's at the theater at the front of the park, well, you're gonna have to allow like a 25-minute walk.
Yeah, I believe it.
To get there. You have to really plan that one out. That's a big park. It's an insanely huge. But I recommend everybody go to it. It's an awesome park. I had a great time. They had fireworks, and with my express pass, I got on rides, which surprised me. I didn't think I'd be able to do anything there on 4th of July. And then afterwards, it was great. It was just back, starting the 5th, it was back to the regular summer type crowds they have there. I had a fantastic time. I actually stayed on longer than I originally planned. I originally planned to just be there from like Wednesday through Friday, and I stayed all the way through Sunday. Just had a fantastic time. Yeah.
Solid weekend.
What all parks did you do during your trip?
Oh, a whole bunch. Yeah. So so everybody should know I'm crazy. I go these every summer now. I do these month-long road trips coinciding with the summer convention of the American Coaster Enthusiasts. And this year the convention was at Dollywood and Carowinds, two great parks. But I don't just go to those. I go to a whole bunch of other. I do a whole chain of loops. So let's see if I can remember all the parks I went to on this trip. First one was Worlds of Fun at Six Flags St. Louis, Holiday World in Indiana. Then from there went down to Dollywood for the convention, then over to Carowinds for the other half of the convention. From Carowinds, I went to Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Then to King's Dominion in Richmond, Virginia, or just outside Richmond, Virginia. Let's see, then that lined me up just before 4th of July. I went to visit some friends for the pre-holiday. Then after that, like I said, Cedar Point. Then from Cedar Point to Kings Island. Then what did I do after Kings Island? I think I went home after Kings Island. It's hard to remember. I did so many.
That's a lot of driving.
I went through a lot of parks. Yeah, it was close to 7,000 miles of driving.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
Hey, like I said, I'm crazy.
Yeah, I remember one main reason why you do stuff like this is because this type of entertainment did not exist when you were a kid, and you wanted to experience what you missed out on.
Yeah, well, I didn't. Well, I couldn't take trips like this, obviously, when I was a kid. You couldn't really.
But even these
it.
rides like didn't exist back then.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of these rides didn't. So, although of course, by the same time, we've lost a lot of really good classic rides along the way.
Mhm.
But yeah, the whole the mega park experience and all these regional parks. Most of these parks are newer. A lot of these parks started being built in like the 70s. And moving forward. And it's really great. I like going around and experiencing them all. It works out really well for me. I've got annual passes to most of the parks, so it's kind of nice. You just feel I can just kind of drop in whenever I want. I've got the pass, so.
Yeah, don't like
Hey
some
guys, what's
change.
up? Ah, it's Curt.
Don't like some change of theme parks like have like annual passes that span multiple parks, like depending on the owner.
Say what again?
Like depending on the owner of the park, like can't you get like an annual pass for like multiple parks across the country?
Well, it depends. Yeah, for the change you can. Like Six Flags, you can get a pass that's good at all the Six Flags park, and I got my Cedar Fair pass is good for all the Cedar Fair parks.
Cedar Fair parks, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I'm waiting for Universal to give me the both coast pass. The one that's good at Hollywood and Orlando, but they don't sell that.
Yeah, they really should.
They should.
Yeah,
They should. I'd buy it. I'd buy it. Yeah, I'd buy it. I'm sitting here with money, guys. Sell me that pass. I used to buy I used to buy the Disney Premier Pass. That was good on both coasts. It actually used to be pretty cheap.
It's like, what should I do with all this money?
When did they?
Oh, Universal, you can.
Yeah.
So when did they sell those sort of passes, like the both coasts? Because I don't think Disney does that anymore. It's been exclusive.
I don't know if they do that. I actually haven't looked to see if they still do that pass. So they had it. The Premier Pass, I think, was like in the late '90s, early 2000s. They were doing that.
Then yeah, definitely not. Like,
yeah,
Disney and annual passes is like trying to get someone that has allergic reaction to their source, and it just don't mix. Like, they just abandoned the whole AP game, which is basically free advertising for people that want to be there and support, and that's how you get your fan base and mega fans. So
right, and it's their most loyal customers.
Yeah. So.
Because it's not just some people just go to the parks, but when I went to the parks, they got a lot of money from me on restaurants and souvenirs. I bought a lot of stuff when I was there. I got a house full of stuff.
Yeah. Even if it's small gains, I mean, you get that positivity and all the buzz. Us in AP, like I always get a meal over there, and then there's like a piece of merch that I get. So even if it's not, hey, I'm buying a $5,000 vacation, like. It's just one family versus the millions of annual pass holders you could have that could really... I think they can enhance the park. I know there's some diehards out there be like, oh, APs ruined the park. They're so entitled and spoiled, and they're going to go everywhere and fill up lines. Yeah.
A few are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've met a few of those entitled annual pass holders. I don't want anything to do with them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as people may know, they're kind of referred to as pass holes.
Yeah, that's a fitting name.
Yeah,
they become so entitled that they start becoming the Karens of theme parks. And it's like, I supported you for 10 years, and this happens. Wham! It's like, come on.
Yeah, they're not nice people. You shouldn't be that way. But let's talk about something nice. We should talk about Dollywood. Let's talk about Dollywood, because the roller coaster convention occurred at Dollywood and Carowinds. We've been to Dollywood before. Actually, the previous time the convention was at Dollywood, it was like 8-10 years ago now. It's hard to remember. We actually got a really, really big surprise. There's always the park usually hosts some kind of a dinner, a banquet dinner, usually some kind of outdoor thing. And Dollywood did something unusual. They brought us on the train to this remote section of the property, back up on loop. They actually shut down the train ride to the public. Right, it was only for our convention group. They loaded us onto the train. And they brought us back to this back section of the park where the train, usually the train just goes around through the woods and, it makes a loop, comes back to the beginning. It's a pretty long train ride. But they brought us back this loop where there's a big clearing, and they had the whole food service and tables and chairs, and everything was set up there for an outdoor big picnic kind of thing. And there was a stage set up. And so, okay, we're going to get food here. And so we're having our meal, and they start to, there's usually some of the bigger parks that do entertainment. And so they had some singers and dancers come out, which is pretty not common. Some parks do that, some don't. And then, believe it or not, Dolly Parton was there. Dolly Parton, they actually got her scheduled to come out and perform for us. You didn't just show up and say hi. She actually performed a whole show. I think she did like 5 musical numbers, like some of her biggest hits.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
That's never happened.
We've never had a star like that show up at an event like that before. That was really unique. That was memorable. I'll say that was memorable. So they did another one. Unfortunately, Dolly Parton wasn't at our convention this year. She's actually touring in Europe, I think, at the moment. But she did show up on video. They did have a video clip where she welcomed us and said she's so excited to have her at the park and stuff. And there was other entertainment. They did a theme for the dinner. It was like retro 70s night. So they got an ABBA tribute band out to perform for us. That was so much fun. They're doing the 70s disco kind of music, while we're having barbecue and stuff for dinner. It was really a great show. But Dollywood is an exceptional park. I mean, this is a park to watch. If you're like Disney, you should be looking in your rearview mirror at parks like Dollywood. Because they're not a mega park. You're not gonna. They don't do rides. Like Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion. But they have a really excellent package of rides. It's a show park. There's like shows going on all day long. All sorts of shows around the park. All music based, obviously. Dolly Parton influence. And it's a very wholesome, clean family environment. It's there to appeal to families. And if you're thinking about where you're going to take your family on vacation, you can go to Dollywood way cheaper than you can go to Disney World.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And you don't have to sit there with a Genie Plus app and get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and start refreshing so you can make your reservations for the day. All that stress is gone. You don't have to worry. They do have a quick queue, express pass kind of thing if you want to buy it. When we were there, you didn't need it. It wasn't that crowded. You can just get on the rides. So all that stress of planning a trip at a crowded park and having to look, well, shit, I can't get on Rise of the Resistance because it's a 2-hour wait. All that stress is gone, and you can just go have fun. And everything is way cheaper in the park. And the Dollywood Resort, they're really building out. They added a water park a number of years ago, and they've added the first hotel came online, Dollywood's Dreammore Resort. Really fancy resort. It's kind of a little on the expensive side, but it's very nice. And they're building another hotel, and they're really building that property out as a multi-day, resort destination kind of thing. And I think that they're going to keep going. They've been expanded. They did another expansion, added another roller coaster this year. The park just keeps growing and growing. I've been going there for years. It just keeps growing and growing and growing, and always have a good time there. It's just a really, really delightful park.
Yeah, that's certainly something I'd like to visit in my lifetime too. Go ahead.
Yeah, and Dollywood isn't the only thing. That's the other thing. It's not the only thing to do there. There's the whole. You got Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. Gatlinburg is the gateway to the Great Smoky Mountains. The national park is actually the entrance is there. So a lot of people come there to go to the national park, and you can do Dollywood while you're there. And there's also tons of tourist attractions all around Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. You can spend a lot of time there and not do everything. There's just so much to do there if you want to do it all. It's all family-oriented stuff. So
you don't have to be like a thrill junkie or like someone has to go on huge hikes or anything.
No, it's not like that at all. It's really set up for families. It's really a really nice area.
Pretty cool. Very nice.
Yeah, because there's 2 parks I definitely want to do at some point is Dollywood and Cedar Point. Another third one, just because it's on the way, is the Six Flags in Georgia. I think Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta. Yeah. I've been there.
Yeah, because you gotta drive through Georgia to get through both of them. Why not stop by? So
yeah, you may as well take advantage of it. Yeah. So the other, if you want to get away from the mega parks, there's a couple parks I recommend everybody try to get to. The big one is Cedar Point, obviously.
Yes. Dollywood
is special. The other one is Silver Dollar City, which is in Branson, Missouri. It's actually owned by Silver Dollar City. Dollywood are related to each other. So Silver Dollar City started in Branson, and they branched out and opened another park in Pigeon Forge, and it was called Silver Dollar City. And then somewhere along the way, Dolly Parton became a partner in that park. So she bought. I don't know the percentage. I think the family that owns Silver Dollar City is the HHN family, and I believe I think they own 50% and Dollywood. Dolly Parton owns the other 50% of Dollywood, so it's a joint partnership thing. The HHN family basically runs the park, and Dolly Parton lends her name, basically licenses her name, and does a lot of work. She approves all the entertainment in the park.
All right.
And things like that. Yeah. So it works out as a very good partnership between them. There's a Dolly Parton museum in the park as well, which is fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to see. Yeah. But yeah, so the other one is Silver Dollar City. It's the HHN Family Park. It's the original Silver Dollar City. If you go to both parks, you'll immediately see the similarities between the two parks. Very similar. That's another really special one because it's a family park. It's so different from like a Six Flags, which is corporate. And I like Six Flags Park, but the problem with Six Flags Park, they're corporate. It's an asphalt jungle, with rides. They don't really think about the natural environment anymore. Silver Dollar City it's set in the period of the late 1800s, and it kind of looks like that. They keep it carried it through. And the people that work there are not the disaffected teenagers you see at a Six Flags Park that don't want to be there. They're waiting for their break so they can go back on their phone and chat with their friends. That's all they care about. If you go to like Silver Dollar City, like the average age of the employees is something like 45 or 50. It's people from the community that have lived there. They go and they work at the park, and you go and there'll be ride operators. Mm-hmm. If you go to Six Flags Park, all the ride operators are about 20 years old. Well, if you go to Silver Dollar City, the ride operators are like in their 40s.
Yeah, so they know what they're doing.
It's a whole different world, and they give you, because it's out in the remote, more or less remote parts of Missouri. It's in Branson. You got more of a country feel to it. It's country hospitality, and people will greet you warmly. And like if you go to Six Flags Park, they tell the employees to greet the employees. So you walk in the shop, and the teenager says, "Welcome to the candy store. Have a nice day." That kind of crap. But if you go into the shop at Branson, they'll actually greet you with genuine warmth.
Really?
They actually treat you the way you would in a country town.
That's how I felt at the Knott's Berry Farm restaurant when going in. They just treated us like family. It was great.
Yeah, and Disney was that way. Disneyland used to be that way for a long time, and it kind of fell off the mark there. But I remember you used to always have a great time with the cast members back in the 80s and 90s at Disneyland, and it kind of deteriorated kind of over time, unfortunately. But you can still get that experience if you go to places like Silver Dollar City and Dollywood. And the other parks, so I was talking about the list of really good parks. So we had Dollywood, Cedar Point, Silver Dollar City, and the other one you want to go to is Holiday World in Indiana. And it's one of the few, it's one of the few remaining totally independent, family-owned parks. There's only a few of them left in the country. So Justin, you were at one of the other ones, which was Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. That's an independent, family-owned park, not a big corporate chain or anything. But Holiday World has been there for decades. Another one of these accidental theme parks. They never intended to build a theme park. It just kind of worked out that way. And it just grew over time, this really nice amusement park. And they got some of the best wooden roller coasters in the entire world. They got 3 of the best wood coasters in the world at their park.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, and you can go to the park, and again, it's in a remote part of Indiana. You're not in a city. You don't have all the urban problems trying to spill over into that. You've got people that from the community working there that generally care about you and that you're having a good time. It's nice. It's just nice. And also, the other nice thing about the park, it doesn't cost an arm and a leg to go there. Food prices are reasonable.
Yeah,
really?
Some of those prices.
A cheeseburger doesn't cost $25. You can get a T-shirt for like $15. You go to Universal. The last time I bought a T-shirt at Universal was $45 for a T-shirt. It's $15 at Holiday World.
What T-shirt did you buy? Like I remember getting stuff at Universal for like $30, but it's still pricey.
Yeah, I got I bought one of the HHN Halloween Horror Nights, one of their special ones.
Oh really?
I forgot what they call it. That was like $45.
Because
I also bought the pass holder Velocicoaster one was like $40 or something as well.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't remember it being that expensive unless I misremember. I know for my Yeah, I know
they had a couple there. The one with the nicest design was, of course, the most expensive one.
Yeah, because I got.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes.
I got the
Yeah.
year shirt.
But anyway, yeah, but you can go to Holiday World and you can get a decent meal for about $10. You know, which at a theme park is ridiculous. Oh, and this is also the other thing is that they really up the competition. So like you go to Holiday World, parking is free.
No.
Can you believe that?
That's insane.
They have free parking, and it doesn't stop there. They also have free soda.
Whoa.
Unlimited free soda refills all day long.
Now that is appealing to the customer.
You don't even have to go to a counter. They actually have the soda fountains just around the park. They have little drink stations throughout the entire park. You just walk up, you grab a cup, iced soda, on my way. It's free all day. All day long. Yeah. And that's one of the things that keeps the price down. And if they have a water park in the park, so you go to the theme park and the water park at the same time. But in the water park, they give you free sunblock. You can put free sunblock.
Free? What is that word anymore? Nothing's free.
Yeah.
A theme park. Free. What does free mean at a theme park these days? You can go to Holiday World and there's all this free stuff.
Free? You just take out your phone, take pictures. That's the only thing that's free there, really.
Yeah, really. And the ticket prices aren't even all that high. It's just a great, fantastic park. You got to go there. You got to go there.
I mean, the only other thing that's free down here is the heat.
Yeah, right.
Free heat strokes for everybody.
And speaking of which,
so Dollywood, Holiday World, Cedar Point, Silver Dollar City.
What
if you're
about
a real park enthusiast and you want to get off the grid from the mega parks and the chain parks?
Okay.
Go see those parks.
I heard people praise Busch Gardens Williamsburg a lot too. So
Busch Gardens Williamsburg is a beautiful park.
Yeah, for its scenery.
I was there for 2.5 days, I think, at the park this time.
I definitely want to go.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Had a fantastic time.
How's it different from the location in Tampa?
Oh, completely different. Yeah, it's a completely different park. There's nothing. Yeah, they have nothing in common at all. Because originally Tampa was done with an Africa theme to it. Originally called the Dark Continent. Busch Gardens Williamsburg is based on Europe, so it's a European theme. So each section of the park is a different country in Europe. Yeah, you enter through England or UK, and there's a little Ireland area and a little Scotland area, and there's a New France, which is kind of like it's sort of like a Montreal kind of Quebec kind of area, but not current day, back in the days when it was founded. So it's kind of like log cabins and stuff like that. So sort of like maybe a golden age of Quebec kind of thing. And then
so when they weren't so pretentious.
Pardon me?
So they weren't so pretentious then?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I guess they hadn't got to being rude yet. I guess, right? But that's Busch Gardens Williamsburg is a great park. My only complaint about that park. One of these days we got to do a food episode. We've talked about that before, so I'll save some of these comments for them. But I'm not thrilled about the food at Busch Gardens. At any of the Busch Gardens.
Yeah,
anyway,
that's pretty disappointing.
But they got a fantastic set of roller coasters. And this year they just opened the new Dark Coaster. It's called Dark Coaster. Yeah, it's called Dark Coaster. It's an indoor ride. So a little bit, think a little bit like some of the Mummy, but nowhere near as that thematic. They don't have the money to do a ride like the Mummy. But you're indoors. You're basically exploring a haunted castle. You're going in. The theme of the ride is it's a haunted castle. Yeah. And there's like paranormal ghost explorers like going in, doing research, and you're going along with them, and you board the snowmobiles, try to escape, and it takes you out back, and inexplicably now it's wintertime, and you're kind of scooting around in the dark behind the castle, and the ghost of the castle is trying to get you. It's pretty fun. It's a very it's a fun ride. It's got some thematics to it. I enjoyed it. So I think it's a worthy addition to the park.
You should make videos about all these parks, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I really should. I got footage and photos. I really should do something more with them.
Yeah, maybe do a compilation.
I love Busch Gardens Williamsburg. That's a very nice. It's a beautiful park. It actually wins the award. I think it's usually the Golden Ticket Award for best landscaping at a theme park in the world.
I've seen pictures and videos of it. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
it's just woven naturally.
Yeah,
And
it's so different than a Six Flags park. Because when Six Flags builds a park, they just bulldoze, the whole area and they put down asphalt. Well, Busch Gardens Williamsburg didn't do that. They took advantage. They left the trees up, and the terrain isn't flat either. It's built on there's kind of like hills and like little kind of ravines and passages. They took advantage of all that. So you're kind of you get a lot of exercise, I'll tell you, at that park because you're kind of going up and down hills. It's beautiful because they left the trees in. You look at some of these rides, like when they put in Alpengeist, which is their big B&M suspended coaster, which is kind of like Montu at Busch Gardens Tampa. Same manufacturer, same design, but completely different track layout. Somehow, when they built that ride, they didn't remove all the trees in the area. And I look at this ride today, just how the hell did you get a crane in here to construct this thing that you didn't take any of the trees down? I still marvel at how they must have the logistics of building that ride. It's just because it's on a hillside. It's not on flat land. It's on a hillside where there's a man-made lake at the bottom, and you actually board up at the top of the hill, and it goes up and down the kind of the hillside of the kind of like a ravine here, and around and stuff. And it's like a ski lift or skiing out of control kind of thing, is what the theme is. One of my favorite B&Ms ever. But I just says, wow, how did they build this thing here without killing the trees? It's just amazing. It's just a beautiful park. I just can't say how enough about how beautiful that park is.
Well, make those videos so we can marvel at them.
Yeah, and I agree. Yeah.
I will bust your balls over this one, Curt.
Yeah. You can do that. Yeah. I love that park.
All right.
And while you were out there having the time of your life, we were stuck down here in Florida. And where it was a brutal 4th of July for, according to some, both parks, Universal and Disney, but one had a bigger capacity than the other.
You can take a guess what.
Yeah. I mean, like, according to a friend of mine who works at Disney, he said that, according to Raul, that attendance was down at Universal for 4th of July as well. And that may be the case. However, we saw the screen caps of the wait times. I mean, Fast and Furious Supercharged had a 40-minute wait.
Yeah. You know the park is busy when that has a wait.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, I don't know if it was 4th of July, but I saw some other weekends where people were posting screen caps of the wait time, and there was a day when Fast and Furious had a 65-minute wait. So you know the park is busy when that has a 65-minute wait.
Either that or some of the rides are broken down. Who knows?
Or too many other rides are broken down. That's the other one. But then you look at the people posting screen caps, for Disney on 4th of July weekend, and it's like 15-minute waits for all the major rides. Like, wow.
That's
wow.
And
That's
if you were
empty
Disney, you would try to hide that, right? For image, but because they didn't, they were trying to reflect actual wait times.
Yeah,
that's insane.
I don't know. Yeah, that's really something. But I think we do have to be fair. I think in my trip this year, travel is definitely down this year. I do want to be fair about that. Because I do the summer trip every year. Definitely it peaked last year, because I think last year in 2022 was when the average family, I think, felt comfortable traveling again, after COVID.
Right.
And there was definitely spike, because I did a trip in 2021, right after things started opening it up, and things were pretty empty. Where I do this as a cross country road trip. I don't fly when I do these because I'm really crazy. And driving on the freeways in 2021, the freeways were like deserted. Once you got away from a city, it was like you and the truck drivers is pretty much it. There was like nobody on the roads. It was just the trucks, and that was like kind of eerie. And then it picked up. 2022 was different. 2022 was much busier, but this year was less. So definitely things peaked last year, because I went to many of these same parks both years, and all the parks were less crowded this year. Particularly Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I went to Busch Gardens Williamsburg in 2022. Man, that place was packed. It was absolutely packed. It was really difficult to get on the rides, difficult to get food, difficult to walk around the walkways. There was just so many people, you're navigating in a crowd the whole time. That was really something. But this year, it was great. It was back to normal, back to what I've experienced in the past. So I definitely think, 2022 was a bubble.
Yeah.
Travel-wise. And I think, if the major theme park operators like Disney saw 2022 come, that big peak travel season, people, all that pent up demand from the pandemic.
That's right.
And then they think that's going to continue forever. And they start putting pricing and policies in place, thinking that's going to go on forever, and they can just charge whatever they want forever. Yeah, I got a little bit of a rude awakening for you.
Yeah, that's what we call the incompetent leadership. Yeah,
that was a bubble. You don't plan your capacity for the bubble. It's like Amazon. Amazon built all those warehouses and distribution centers for the pandemic, all the demand for online shopping, and now they're shutting them down.
Yeah.
Now, I will be fair on this as well, because I went to Disney maybe a week or so ago. We had a friend of ours visiting from Texas, and me, Evan, and a few others got together and went to Hollywood Studios. And by that time, wait times for these rides did pick back up. So things eventually did kind of go back to what you would think. Because I think the wait time for Rise of Resistance at the time when we went was 90 minutes.
Standard.
Yeah, the Aerosmith coaster was maybe 75. Yeah. So after the holiday, things did kind of go back to normal. But again, people still preferred one park over the other when it came to 4th of July weekend. But that being said, though, we also got word of a new theme park coming out in, frankly, the middle of nowhere called American Heartland. Curt, you're the one who first brought this to our attention. What did you think?
Yeah, well, I would list it as a maybe. We'll see. We don't have a good track record of getting these new theme parks built. But they've got plans, and they're talking about pouring $2 billion in to build it, which is certainly the amount of money it would take to build a world-class theme park. And they claim they have former Disney Imagineers working on the project. But I'm very cynical about things like that. Okay, so are they really working on it, or did you just have a 10-minute phone consultation with the guy, and now you're claiming they're part of the project? I'm very cynical about these claims about, say that you have so-and-so working on the project. Well, are they really working? Or are they just...
It's also a quick turnaround window. I fully expect delays. $2 billion to build a theme park in phases. It's a big task. And the man in charge, he's a very old guy, so I hope he has a lot of connections, because all that grunt work, that can't be easy for an old man to get done. And especially in a place that's hard to market like Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's
that's kind of interesting. Well, obviously they went there because the land is cheap, I would assume.
Yeah.
But people, it's not. A lot of the bloggers online are kind of talking about, well, it's out in the middle of nowhere, but it sort of is and it isn't. I mean, I checked the map. It's basically 1 hour from the Tulsa airport to get to this place, which is basically about the same distance as it is from the Knoxville airport to Dollywood. So it's an hour from the Knoxville. So it's not any more remote than Dollywood. Now, of course, Dollywood, as I said, is in Pigeon Forge in the Gatlinburg area, which has a ton of other tourist attractions, and it's a national park entrance there as well. So that's kind of a difference there to bring more people in for that. But it isn't any more remote than that from the airport. But it is kind of out in the middle of nowhere. There really isn't anything else around there, which is going to be a bit challenging, I think, to get word out to get people to come there. But we'll see. I mean, they're going to open the RV park first, which I think is in 2 years, only in 2 years, and then the amusement park is supposed to open the year after that, which is really aggressive schedule.
2026.
It looks great. I mean, I've seen we've seen the renderings online. They've got an awesome looking wooden roller coaster. I mean, you have to wonder, okay, is that actually what they intend to build, or is that just kind of like an artist concept of what they might build, kind of thing? But the coasters look nice, and they've got some dark rides. From the concept art, they've got something that kind of sort of looks a bit like Soarin', maybe. But we'll see. We'll see what they got there. As I said, these new parks don't have a really good track record. I did a little digging through my notes here to talk about other parks they've tried to build. Probably the most recent one that was a major failure was the Hard Rock Park. Did you guys hear about that one?
I haven't. Where was
that was gonna open in Myrtle Beach. Well, actually, it did open in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It was actually the first major park. It was it actually opened, had a soft opening in April 2008, official opening in June 2008. It was the first major park in the U.S. since 1999, when both Legoland California and Islands of Adventure opened.
Yeah.
So that we had like almost a 10-year drought there before any parks were built. Unfortunately, it immediately had financial troubles. It closed early in September of 2008. Only like 5 months. It was open for like 5 months from the soft opening, or if you count from the official opening, it was only like 3 months. Then it went into bankruptcy. Then it got bought in bankruptcy court by a new company that rebranded it the Freestyle Music Park. They actually could have continued licensing the Hard Rock name, but they kind of thought that the bankruptcy might have put some stigma on it. They decided to rename the park. So it's called Freestyle Music Park, and it reopened in 2009, and they gave it a go in the summer, and then it closed in the fall, and it never reopened again. And it went back into bankruptcy and shut down. Rides for the things that were salvageable rides were removed and sold off, and the rest of the park is just there, rusting away in the weather. So they're actually, some of the big coasters they couldn't take out are just there rusting.
Oh,
it's real sick because they built a really awesome B&M coaster. Yeah, unfortunately I missed that park. I didn't think it would come and go so quickly, or I would have gone there. I should have gotten a clue when it went bankrupt after the first year. I should have made the effort to make it during the second year. But I didn't think it would disappear that quickly. Unfortunately, I missed that one.
Now, the theme for American Heartland it seems to be Americana. Now, which I do like, because I do think a lot of people have lost touch of Americana and the roots of our country. That being said, do you think it's a good idea to dedicate an entire park to that?
It can be done.
Fine.
Look at Disneyland and Main Street, and that was basically Americana, but Americana from the 50s. Celebrating small towns.
You got like Frontierland and stuff, at the Disney parks. And you got like Silver Dollar City is an entire Americana park. Dollywood is the same way. They're all set in like one time frame. Silver Dollar City is set in the late 1800s. Mm-hmm. So everything's kind of themed to that.
And it doesn't have to be classic Heartland country. I mean, Americana is such a broad term. And based on the concept art that I've seen, it seems to be incorporating what one would think of it, plus, what modern America is today, like, looking towards the future and the past and, different regions, the bayou. Like, I think it's a really neat idea. Just celebrate the whole country in general, because it's not just one idea of it. It's many ideas. And I think it's a valid theme. I think it can go places.
Yeah, hopefully it will work out. I mean, a lot of people are drawing comparisons to the failure of Disney's America. You know about that one?
I've heard about it.
Disney proposed a basically America themed park. That was to be in Northern Virginia, outside Washington D.C. It was announced in November 1993, and after a lot of uproar from the locals, it basically collapsed because the locals didn't want it. The locals came up with a lot of excuses as to why. It says, "Oh, you're desecrating Civil War battlefields," which is kind of nonsense, because they're the Civil War was fought basically all over Virginia. So if you're going to go with that logic,
right at the border,
you can't build anything anywhere. But the real truth is they didn't want it's a rural area. They didn't want to turn into Anaheim, which is a valid concern.
Okay.
If I lived in a rural area, I wouldn't want it turn into Anaheim either. So I thought that was the biggest one. So it was officially canceled in September of 1994. So it basically only had a life of about a year. I never broke ground. And Disney tried to save face at the end. They says, well, we're going to look for another location. Say, how bullshit you are.
Euro Disney, Eisner, the whole era.
You're just going to give up on that one. So the only theme parks I was going over here to touch on this little bit of history. There are only a few theme parks that have successfully been built in the last 20 years. I mentioned the two was Legoland California Islands of Adventure, Disneyland's California Adventure.
Yeah. That
opened in 2001. Animal Kingdom was 1998. And then there was this is a small one in 2012. The Landry's restaurant chain company, of all things, resurrected a pier in Galveston, Texas, that was severely damaged by an earthquake back in 1961, and the wreckage of it had just been left there, and they finally bought it somehow, and they refurbished it and turned it into an amusement pier. That was actually
Really?
I've actually been to that. It's actually a nice little. It's a little park. It's on a pier, of course, so it can't be very big. That's actually a success story there. And of course, talk about Islands Adventure. Now the other one, and that's it. Also, there's the other one. New park is Lost Island theme park
Wasn't
in
there?
Waterloo,
What about
Iowa.
what about the Legoland that opened here in Florida?
Well, that is not a new park. That took over the previous park. Oh, it was Cypress Gardens. It was Cypress Gardens.
Oh, okay.
That was there for decades. I mean, originally it was not a theme park. It was like a botanical garden and kind of I don't know what they had, a water ski show, and they had these glass bottom boat rides over this kind of lagoon area. You can kind of all sorts of fish and stuff underwater you can look at. It was a very sedate park. I went there when I was a kid, a long time ago. I also went there back again when they started turning it into a theme with rides and stuff. So I've seen it. Have not seen it as Legoland yet, but it's on the list for someday.
Wasn't there also like a Peppa Pig park that opened down here as well?
There's something somewhere. Yeah, I don't really keep track of that one. It's a kids park. Obviously.
Yeah, I think it's in the plans. The only like successful theme parks that opened recently are just been all around the world, not here in the U.S.
Yeah, well, I was going to mention there's Lost Island theme park in Waterloo, Iowa. That just opened last year, June 2022. It has 3 roller coasters. They're doing that right. But right now it's out in the middle of nowhere in Iowa, and from what I've heard, it's not doing very well because it's out in the middle of nowhere in Iowa. So from what I read, they're only getting like a couple hundred guests in the park a day, which is not going to sustain them very long. Yeah, it's kind of sad. I've seen photographs. It looks really nice. I guess I'm gonna have to make an effort to get there next year. I think in retrospect, I probably should have squeezed it into this trip before they go bankrupt. I'm a little worried this park might disappear in the next year or two. I'm gonna try to get there next year.
Okay, because I definitely like the idea.
Yeah, so not a lot of new parks get built. I mean, there aren't very many that have built. So if this American Heartland Park gets built, it'll be pretty cool if it actually gets built and open. There's not many open and survive at all.
One criticism the park got was the name. I remember the video I posted to you guys. The guy in the video said he doesn't like the name. He says it's hard to remember, doesn't roll off the tongue very well. Honestly, it may take a minute to remember. However, I do like it, especially if this park is based off of Americana. I mean, the name is fitting if that's the theme.
Plus its location. It's smack dab in the heartland.
Location. Yeah, it's in Oklahoma.
Yeah, so the name, maybe it takes a minute to remember, but it's a name that makes sense. So I don't think that's a good enough criticism.
No, the name is not going to make or break that park. It's going to be whether you can market it well enough to convince people to make the trip out there. That's going to be what makes or break the park. And you've got to have the entertainment package.
Yeah.
To bring people out. So you got to have the rides, you got to have shows, you got to have something to make it. They got the RV park, it's kind of a nice idea because that's what Disney did with Disney World, right? Because Fort Wilderness opened first before the Magic Kingdom ever opened. So they had the RV park thing go on there first, and it's kind of a good idea.
Now, one other criticism this gentleman had was that there was no, for lack of a better word, an icon of the park. Like, for example, when you go to Islands of Adventure, you see that giant lighthouse. You go to Universal, you see the globe. You go to Disney, and you used to see the giant Mickey hat, but that's gone now. So, do you think he has a valid criticism with that?
I imagine they'll have something. I mean, I don't think there'll be nothing. They're obviously going to have to market the park somehow, and there'll be a logo of some kind. But I don't know if you need an icon like that to make a park successful. I mean, Dollywood doesn't really have anything like that. Silver Dollar City doesn't have it. Holiday World doesn't. A lot of these parks don't have anything like that.
I think they'll should come naturally once it gets reputation. It's just, and it seems like based on what we discussed, entering the theme park market is vastly difficult without some capital and something unique behind it. I know there's theme parks sprouting up I've heard of one in Dubai that was popping up that looked, but they have a lot of money and capital and probably the demand there. as well as I think there's this one weird park in Israel that's popping up as well. Like there's some,
really?
yeah. I think I saw like not like the Funkland, but it was like some other theme park website that was like, well, this is a theme park that has like some religious themes to it, but it's propping up and it's getting a lot of momentum. It's like, okay then, but I don't think the icon is essential. I think the overall, just the overall cohesion of the park and just good rides and give it some good reason to come to the park, and then the act can come later. I don't think Busch Gardens even had that starting out. Like they had the name, but then it evolved into what it is across its park as well.
Yeah, well, that's another. Busch Gardens is another kind of accidental theme park. Originally it started as gardens around the brewery tour. All the parks were located next to the brewery, and so you take a brewery tour, you get your free beer at the exit, and they had some botanical gardens, and it kind of turned into a theme park all of a sudden, adding stuff to it. Because I did back in the old days in Tampa when they had the brewery there. I did the brewery tour.
But you don't drink.
I don't drink, but I'm interested in the process anyway. How do you make beer? It's fun to do the brewery tour. But yeah, that I remember that little hospitality building that they rarely use now that was the only thing that was there, and the gardens and some of the gardens they didn't have any of the rides.
Yeah, I remember when you and I went to Busch Gardens a few years ago. That was the first time I've been there in years. Like I'm talking decades.
Yeah,
and I remember we were getting on that cheetah roller coaster, and I remember going, "Was there like a monorail here?" He goes, "You're standing in it."
Yeah, the load station uses the old monorail load station. They kept the station there. Yeah.
But there is one new addition that's coming to one of our favorite parks. It looks like there's getting the Universal Kids section over at Universal Studios is getting completely rethemed with more modern movies from DreamWorks, which thank God, because that section needed it.
It was, outdated, dire.
That was a little out of date, yeah. I mean, they had the Fievel Goes West. I mean, what year did that movie? That was a 90s movie.
91, 90, something like that. Like, Don Bluth is great, but Don Bluth, the animated stuff, just went out of style years and years ago.
And not only that, but I don't think Don Bluth had anything to do with that movie.
No, Don Bluth
he did.
Animated, yeah.
He did.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he was I guess he was a director, I think. I have to go back and check if he was actually a director or lead creative or something.
He made the original movie, but then Fievel Goes West was certainly something he was a producer on. I'm certain of it.
Yeah.
And not to mention, like, Curious George, like, really? I mean, that's when I was, like, 5, okay?
Yeah,
I'm 38 now.
And Barney. We used to be there.
Barney.
Which is coming back, by the way. They're actually bringing back the damn dinosaur. Not the part of the series. And it's all CG. It looks hideous.
Oh, no.
Well, it's just to keep the really young kids entertained. So there's a new generation, 4-year-olds out there. That's what the show is targeted at.
I mean, I'd rather raise my kids on Kung Fu Panda than Barney, so there's that.
Yeah, Kung Fu Panda.
So that area, and Woody Woodpecker.
Oh my goodness! He tried to be the new Mickey Mouse Universal, and that didn't pan out so well.
No.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness that you didn't have to go to that.
That area really needs that whole area needs. It's wasted space.
Yeah. Now why they won't retheme E.T. I don't know.
God, imagine Horror Nights this year, like with all the construction away, how they're gonna get all the houses. It's gonna be wall after wall after wall. I don't know how they're gonna pull it off.
I don't know.
It's gonna be a lot of walking.
I'm glad. Well, Halloween Horror Nights is always a lot of walking.
But more so because of the construction walls. That's all I'm trying to say.
Probably. But I'm really happy to see that area. I mean, obviously, DreamWorks, the DreamWorks animation property is the obvious one. Because Comcast owns that too. So obviously they're going to start putting their own IP in there. They haven't released any. Unfortunately, there's no details about exactly what they're doing. I showed you that. Was it like 6 months ago? Somebody found a patent application from Universal for a kind of an interactive food station. And in the patent application, it's screen-based, so you can interact with the character on the screen, and then you could order food. It would actually be delivered through a slot. And amazingly, the character they chose to animate was a panda over there. I wonder who that might be. I wonder what they might be planning there.
I like the idea. Live actor, and then you make your order, and then entertain the kids, and then there's your food right there.
Look, my understanding, it was one of those VR capture things. So there'd be like a live person, with a capture rig, animating the character so he can interact with you while you're getting your order. And of course, it was doodles. What else would it be?
yeah. That's what they do at Disney as well, with like Monsters Flat Floor and Crush's Turtle Talk.
Right. Exactly. So,
and plus, if you heard of VR chat, like there's millions of avatars out there. It's not exactly a hard thing to rig and set up.
No, it's not rocket science anymore at all. Nope. So it's obviously so that seems like a maybe. They went and patented it, so it kind of seems like a maybe kind of thing to go in there.
Shrek's gonna have a home.
Hopefully they'll move the interactive thing with Shrek and Donkey over there. They should keep that. Everybody seems to like that. I usually go and watch it sometimes. Watch people interact. That can be fun.
And Donkey's great. I love Donkey.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious to see what they're going to do, because I remember for the Five Goes West, they actually had some sort of a water raft ride. Woody Woodpecker, he had his own little kiddie coaster.
Yeah.
Right.
Curious George had some fun house thing that had a giant bucket of water, which funny story about that. When that area was still relatively new, my dad took me and my siblings there, and we're kind of like browsing around, like, okay, this is interesting. Okay, pretty cool. Walking through the house, and then right before I'm about to go under the covered area, like I am like just one step away from it, the bucket of water drops and I get drenched. It's like, really? So I'm really curious, because it's not going to be like a simple reskin. It looks like they're actually doing something new. So I'm really curious to see what it is, but I still wish they'd get rid of E.T.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know what's gonna take.
Well,
there's such a divide in the fandom. It's probably 50-50 at this point. Like, get rid of E.T., keep E.T. It's house is divided, man. It's intense.
Well, E.T. isn't E.T. the very last of the original Universal rides?
That's right.
Of the rides, yes. Of the shows, there's the horror makeup show and Animal Actors, which honestly I think should probably go to.
Yeah, I agree.
I would like them to. I like the Animal Actors, but the show they're running needs to be updated.
Oh,
they need to pick up the pace and get it more engaging. Now the one they used to have, they had a very similar show at SeaWorld Orlando, and that one was one of the best of that type,
really?
where they used domesticated animals. That was one of the better ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately they're not running it anymore, but that's the way it goes.
Would you say the horror makeup show should be updated?
A little bit, maybe.
I think it should be. Yeah, it probably should be. Some parts are good. I mean, the initial gag with the fake knife is always a good one, because people don't know that.
Yeah, like my personal favorite part of the whole...
that looks real when he's cutting into the person's arm. That looks so real.
And my favorite part of the whole show is hearing the audience go, "Oh," and because as someone who grew up, learning how to do magic tricks, I've often kind of saw it as you're hoping to ignite the spark in someone else whenever you reveal a secret. Granted, God only knows if it will or won't, but still, there's always that chance that you'll inspire somebody when you reveal how something is done. And just hearing everyone's reaction going, "Oh wow, this is like they're reacting to movie magic. This is the secret of it."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's when you're adjusting something so beloved, like it's crucial that you keep the spirit while making it relevant to modern audiences today. And that's something that Disney has dropped the ball on a lot, but it's just hard to do in general, because you're always going to have the very loyal fan base that if you change a single thing about the original, it's going to suck. But then you'll have people like are open to it. Like, yeah, this is nice, a nice evolution of it for modern audiences.
Yeah, but back on the ET ride, I think they either got to update it or just completely replace it. It needs something. It's just kind of it's stale, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
I just get rid of it
frankly,
at this point.
like, 'cause I think a lot of people have attachment mostly to the movie, but Kurt, you were telling me the movie you thought was rated.
Yeah, the movie never worked for me. I never got. I mean, I understand a lot of people that really get into suspension of disbelief and this cute little alien guy, but just
Cute.
ugly, the ugly is cute kind of thing. It's like people think sloth. People say sloths are cute, But anyway, yeah, I never got the suspension of disbelief. It's just too preposterous, Like I don't know. It just never I never connected with it. Like, okay, so the aliens came all this way to get some plant samples. Okay, great. Well, why did you land next to a city? If you're gonna collect, I mean, they're somewhere outside in the Pacific Northwest. There's a lot of really empty land up there. Just land. If you're an advanced alien civilization capable of intergalactic travel, what the hell are you doing landing next to a city? Why don't you just land out in the wilderness and get your plant samples and go home?
Yeah, it wasn't even a crash landing.
And how dumb are you to leave one of your guys behind? You're a super advanced alien civilization and you can't do a head count before you take off?
Well, I think we found the ancestors of the aliens from Signs.
But yeah, overall, I think the area does whatever it's going to be much better than what it was. So we'll see what will come of it. Shrek, Kung Fu Panda, Trolls, it's all going to be there. It's all going to be in Frisco, Texas, which will be another topic another time. Because I think that's a good idea what Universal's doing over there. Yeah. But certainly...
Yeah, but like the E.T. ride, if you're going to go all in on DreamWorks, right, it's you've got these bicycles flying through the air. Well, what other DreamWorks movie has things flying through the air?
A dragon?
Yeah, How to Train Your Dragon. So you can think about using the same ride system, right? And just change all the set pieces and put a new story behind it. And now you've got a How to Train Your Dragon themed ride all of a sudden.
But would you want to do it when Epic Universe is going to have a whole land to it? That's the question.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I can understand wanting to keep that section of the park dedicated for kids. That is totally fine. But you should still update E.T. I'm sorry. Like, either update it, get rid of it, reskin it, just something.
Something.
Yeah.
Something. Not Band-Age and then have E.T. barely mumble out your name each time. It's creepy now.
Yeah. It's not like my name is complicated, but he can never say it correctly. Yeah, it's kind of like that.
And he doesn't even get through like all the names too. Like, you're lucky if he picks you.
He doesn't move. Like, he barely moves. It's like,
come on, E.T., get with it. Say the names.
It's like you're putting a guy for work for the sake of namesake. It's like Lee Corso from freaking College Game Day. The poor guy needs to retire, but they keep dragging him on till he's like a living corpse. Like, come on, Universal.
And for all our listeners, here's a little fun fact that happened. I actually met Howard Scott Warshaw, the guy who programmed the worst game of all time, Atari's E.T.
Nice.
And they were celebrating E.T.'s anniversary, so people were signing cards, this like birthday card. So I wrote down, "Your game is better than the ride."
Damn. Quickest way to start a Playmore.
I took a picture of that and posted on the pass holder page, and I got a lot of likes for that one. But speaking of new additions, Universal also got another one with a new Minions attraction with VillainCon. Now, they're just doing a soft opening. None of us have been on it yet, but I have looked up a video of it. And I gotta say, the one thing that kind of kills me is that there's no ride vehicle. You literally just stand on a conveyor belt.
Yeah. Yeah, they're clearly, I mean, I look at that, and it seems to me they're clearly doing two things. A, they're saving money. And B, they're trying to increase capacity because they just crank the line through, right? Mm-hmm. As fast as the conveyor belt moves, you can crank people through. So I think Universal, A, they wanted to save money, and B, they wanted something that will soak up crowds on busy days, and give something a lot of people. You get a lot of people through that thing, in a short amount of time. And I think that's why they did that.
Yeah, but keep in mind, Universal, the last time you were cheap, we got Fast and Furious Supercharged. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Says the guy that makes this guilty pleasure.
Yes, I admit it's a guilty pleasure. But I will say this though: the new theme for that, basing that area off of the Minions movie, that whole section, there's a lot more character to it. Like, it's a lot more bright, it's a lot more vibrant. It's really cool looking.
Yeah.
So it is, it does feel like a nice fresh upgrade. I will definitely give it that. But the ride, can't really comment on it just yet. We have to be able to check it out. I mean, and even then, it's just a soft opening. It's just dress rehearsals. So they're still ironing out the kinks. Mm-hmm. Although, one thing I absolutely love, though, now I haven't seen the one of the movies yet, at least the one where this particular character was in, but Trey Parker from South Park was actually in one of those movies, and they put his character right in front of the ride.
Which one? Which character is that?
I can't.
Can you describe him? Because I've seen the movies.
Yeah, he's got like this purple coat and like a black buzz haircut.
Oh, like yeah, he's from the third movie.
Yeah. And what I thought was funny is that the cast or the staff of South Park, they actually do have actual like actors, like Bill Hader. He works for South Park, and he gets like audition calls like several times a week, but Trey never gets them. But for this one instance, he actually did. He figured, okay, sure, what the heck, why not? And so he went for the role. He got it. He's watching the movie, and he goes, "Why did I do this?" And then his his daughter goes, "That's my daddy." And he goes, "That's why I did this."
Yeah, he was a pretty quirky villain. Like, has his weird keytar, chews bubblegum, traps people in it. It's, typical Illuminations humor and stuff. But from what I've seen of Minions Land, like, it does look pretty solid. Like, the Minions Cafe, the food they sell, the interior. Even though the interior can be more dynamic, like what you'd see at like Super Nintendo World and like other newer stuff, it's certainly well themed and pretty good, especially for something that was done on the quick. And well, hopefully the ride is at least decent. That's not a disaster. Like, there's some people with hot takes who are like, "Oh, this ride sucks. It's actually worse than Shrek 4D." I'm like, I doubt that. Shrek 4D was showing its age. It needed to go.
Yeah,
so.
It was.
So I will.
I like that. I like that ride.
No offense to the Broger fandom, but it was aging. I mean, you always have the movie to look back on. I mean, I remember they even released it on DVD at one point.
Yeah, literally.
But
you can get the actual live footage.
It was showing its age. But before we go on to our last topic, Curt, you actually said there was one other plug.
Oh yeah, well, just regional parks in general, because I go to a lot of them every year, and like we all like the mega parks. We go to the mega parks. We love the mega parks, but I think people also need to check out the regional parks. And there's a lot of really good stuff going on there. And I wanted to plug a couple of parks in particular because they're doing some good things. In particular, 3 of the parks did some really good track work on their wood coasters, and I think we just need to acknowledge that. Dollywood did a lot of excellent track work in the off season on their Thunderhead wooden roller coaster. That is running really good now. That was running better than ever when I was there this year. And Holiday World on the Voyage, they did some retracking. That's much better. That, to me, that's the number 1 wood coaster in the world, is the Voyage. And they did some excellent retracking work on that. That's running really smooth. My local park, Great America, did some retracking work on Gold Striker, which is the coaster you like, Justin, the wood coaster out here. That's a good one. It's running even better than it was when you were here. And the other one is the Beast.
Yes.
Kings Island, the longest wooden roller coaster in the year. They finally been doing work on that the last 2 years, and this year it's really shining. It's really running well, better than it's ever run in a long time. My only quibble about that ride is there's 2 places where they have the trim brakes on a bit too much. It takes away too much momentum. I would lighten those up. Just to bring back some of the speed, but most of the ride is just excellent now. It was so much better than it was. I rode that like 20 years ago when it was the helix at the end was super rough. It was like knocking the fillings out of your teeth.
Oh,
that's how it was intensely painful on that last helix. It was just so rough. But now you can ride it. It's fun and it's fast. It's really good. I'm really happy that the parks are doing this retracking work. And I just want to give a shout out. If you're thinking about, trying some other parks, go try these regional parks. You can do a couple of them. Some of them are close enough together. You can do more than one of them in one trip. And it's a nice little trip. You'll save a lot of money, hell of a lot of money over going to Disney World.
Yeah.
You don't have all the stress that goes with it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of benefits to just and also being a pass holder as well. I have one of my cousins come down for his graduating trip, and he lives in the Western New York area, and he told me, or I showed him around Universal with my annual pass. He got himself an annual pass
Nice.
with Darien Lake.
Ah,
Yes,
good.
because the park is yours. You go during the day, there's no one there.
Yeah.
And when if it's a regional park, it's even less.
Yeah, they're really great. I was at Great America yesterday, and I'm going again tomorrow.
But Curt, didn't you actually say though that Great America might be shutting down in 10 years?
Yeah, they might be. They sold the land that the park sits on to a developer company. If that all goes through, then the park will be torn down sometime within the next 6 to 10 years, depending on how it works out. Which really sucks.
Yeah, because Curt took me to that park. I loved it. It was great. They actually have a simulator, right, based off the game Mass Effect. Go!
Mm-hmm.
Save it! Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. If this actually goes through the way they said it, like it's torn down, that's just going to be a tragic loss. Absolutely tragic.
Someone's got to buy it. Like, there's got to be some profitability there, and save a good park.
It'll be the day Curt goes.
Yeah,
No, that'll be the day Curt wins the lottery. Just gets his theme park. Be like, this is what I use my money on. I'm gonna save this park. Screw all the charities. This is my park now.
and he'll do the total South Park Cartman thing. You can't come, especially staying at time.
Yeah. That's right. My park. It's my park. Yeah.
There's only one guy in the entire park. It's you. You'll sit there operate the ride and then jump right on the car as soon as it gets going.
Yeah, just like South Park. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's really going to be sad if this goes out and this park shuts down. I mean, there's a lot of obstacles in the way because currently the land it sits on is zoned for a theme park. So to build anything else there, they would have to convince the city and the county to rezone the land. So that's one obstacle that they have to get through. And then, the company that bought it usually develops from my read, it develops like distribution centers and logistics centers and stuff. So, do we really need another distribution warehouse in the Bay Area? I mean, don't we have enough of those already? I mean, there's only one theme park on the entire peninsula for the Bay Area. I mean, I'd rather have that one theme park rather than another of there's probably at least 50 distribution centers around the Bay Area already. We really need another one. So I don't know. I mean, it's really going to suck. A lot of people are obviously hoping something 11th hour will happen, that somebody else will buy the land back from the developer, or I don't know what might happen. If it's a lot of money, the park sold for $330 million, so the developer is going to want more than $330 million back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so kind of a lot of money. But yeah, that's going to suck if that park gets torn down.
Mm-hmm. And finally, moving on to what we have announced so far for Halloween Horror Nights.
Oh, baby. Here we go.
Yes. First off, right off the bat, out of the 3 houses they've announced so far, the one I'm looking for, The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that game. That game is so much... And it's based off the first game, not the sequel, which caused a lot of hate-dom. And not the series, which a lot of people got divided with. It is the first game.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I probably should have seen this coming, because I remember the last time we spoke about Halloween Horror Nights, I mentioned there was that one original house that felt like The Last of Us. I can't remember the name of it, but I remember there was this subway car that was tilted up on its side.
Yeah, that was something... Devastation of Madness. I forget what it was, but one of the original houses I think we ranked 7 or 8 on our list.
Yeah, because that seemed like a, we'll say like an apocalypse scenario, which kind of like how the game turned out.
Right.
So I should have realized they were going to do this, and I'm glad they did. And I even bought one of the shirts. It's probably one of the few Horror Nights shirts that's actually white instead of black. So, Curt, I know you're way behind on video games, but you should really see.
Well, let's ask you this: like, when was the last time they did a house based off a video game, and how did that fare?
Well, I remember they did one for Resident Evil 2, not the remake. Not the remake. It was the original.
They should do the remake, though, just saying.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that one turned out great. Because I remember the first thing you see when you walk in is that you see Leon Kennedy sitting on a cop car firing a gun at, I think it was the Hunter monster. Which in some ways kind of looks like a very mutated frog.
Yeah,
those who
Lickers.
don't know.
I think there was a couple Lickers, yeah.
And the very first Hard Nights I ever did, they had one based on Silent Hill, which looked fantastic. Okay, the production work for that thing was incredible. Just feeling like you're walking through that same insane asylum, the fact that it was snowing as soon as you walk through the building. Silent Hill, still survival horror, but this one kind of screws with your mind a little bit.
Yeah, I played the second game. And for Spooks Month this year, I'm going to play the third game on stream, so I'm pretty happy about that.
So, based on just my personal experience, I would say Universal does have a good track record with houses based off video games. So, this one, definitely looking forward to. Next up, we have Stranger Things.
Season 4. There we go.
This shouldn't have been a surprise either, because they're about to they're going to be launching the next season of the show, which may be the last. I can't quite remember.
It's going to be the last. They confirmed it's the last season.
But
they've said, all the time it was going to be a 5-season story. So I'm glad there's writers that avoid bloat. They'll go in there, they'll do the show, they do what they want to do, and just get it done. That's how other shows I appreciate, like Gravity Falls, happened as well. So kudos to them. This house certainly should be a contender for top house this year.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing is that my supervisor at work is interested in going. And keep in mind, my supervisor, he's definitely older than me. He's an older gentleman. And despite being a chef at Disney and living in Florida for most of his life, he has never been to Universal Studios.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
What?
How? I said the exact same thing. I told him, how can you deprive yourself? And he has a daughter. It's like, how did you her? It's like, no, the opportunity never presented itself. Like, go now! It's like, oh, I don't want to leave my wife behind. Like, leave her!
Why would you leave her behind? Take her with you.
It's open every day. Just go.
And the thing is that his wife is really not into horror. But for whatever reason, she started watching Stranger Things. And when I told them, like, they're doing a house this year, he goes, really?
Yeah.
This might be my chance to go. Like, you should have gone a long-ass time ago.
That's what I told myself. You know my reasons why I didn't go, but I'm glad I'm now going to be a yearly attendee now. Pretty hyped for this year.
Yeah, and I told him, like, look, if you're going to do this, you need to get the ticket where you get to, go in the parks during the day and stay for Horror Nights at night. Okay, point blank here. Now, I don't think he and his wife plan on doing all the houses, so I'm not going to tell him to get an express pass. But if they go on the weekend, you might want to.
Yeah. Oh, you can't. In my opinion, you can't do Halloween Horror Nights without an express pass. It's just insane. I tried it a long time ago, and I hated it. It was just like, it's 1 to 2 hours for every house, and it's just too much lines.
Too much standing. Like, I was dead last year. Like, we did 13 houses that night, and oh my god, just I was reminded, like, oh man, this is how I felt being in Magic Kingdom all day. Now it's like after Horror Nights, I'm just dead.
It's a workout. It's a workout.
And I mean, I'm only 32. It's like, dang it, what the heck?
And I even got like other people at work who are interested in going, and they know I'm the theme park guy. And like, Justin, what can you tell us about this? Can you possibly get us a discount? We get a discount for working at a hospital, right? It's like, I know these guys are noobs, but I would think you would at least know a bit more than that.
Yeah.
It's kind of
some people just aren't into it. It's weird. It's hard for us to understand.
And the first thing I always tell people is that by law, they are legally not allowed to touch you.
Right.
Okay? You are perfectly fine. Yes, there's people revving chainsaws, but don't worry. They removed the blade. And they're like, you're not helping.
They also, I mean, they won't be able to touch you, but they'll certainly get close to your face and breathe on you, like just to really get in character.
Yeah, they'll get in your face. Yeah.
I don't mind that.
Fun.
I don't mind
It's
that,
fun.
especially going through the scare zones, which I hope we'll have more time to explore. We kind of rushed through it a little bit last year, but we'll see. We'll see how we tackle things this year.
Yeah, I didn't think last year the scare zones didn't seem that great to me last year. I've seen better ones.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And finally, we have not necessarily a staple, but one to expect: Child's Play, Chucky. This one I'm not surprised about because, number one, Peacock has that Chucky series, but also every year they always have a house that's based off a classic horror film or franchise. It can get a little old at times, like, really, you're doing Halloween again?
Yeah.
However, it's not like it's the same house from previous years. They always mix it up. So there is that. And I'm pretty sure for this, unlike Disney, they will hire dwarf actors to play Chucky. I just realized that.
Or get some good animatronics. That might be a house that might be more unsettling. Like, I am not a fan of creepy dolls at all, so that'll be a fun one to walk through and see how they try and scare the living shit out of me at that point.
Yeah, creepy homicidal dolls.
Yeah, because the way they can do it is like, I hate it when you can go through somewhere, it's not moving, you're expecting it to move, and then it jumps to you last minute, and always freaks me out. Just like in the Weekend House. Or like in the Halloween house last year, they had that thing as well. It's like it's such a good trick, but I hate it each time. So I'm like,
But Curt, are you at least familiar with the Child's Play movie?
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Okay, so at least you'll know what you're walking into this time around.
Yeah.
Yeah, Curt is a little behind the times, people.
Yeah, I am.
He doesn't even have a Netflix subscription. He's missing out on Cobra Kai. He's missing out on Stranger Things.
It's not that I don't like the entertainment. I just don't have the time. I just don't have the time to sit down and watch all these movies all the time.
We're going to have to, because I have to force you to make these videos about these books.
Yeah, that's true.
I will be busting your balls over this one.
Yeah, I know. I know you will.
So I would say Horror Nights is definitely shaping up to be a good one. According to our, there's room to be one more house that's based off a popular IP. The rest will just be original. So we'll find out if that's true or not. I'll be curious to see if any of the scare zones will be based off a popular IP, because years ago I remember they had a scare zone based off The Purge, and which was, in my opinion, was very fitting for Horror Nights. But last year there was just the 3 IP houses. Everything was original, and even the scare zones were, which last year, like, definitely had its peaks, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it definitely felt a little kiddish. Like, I remember Raul saying, like, it's supposed to be vintage. I'm like, there's a difference between vintage and Hobby Lobby, okay?
Yeah.
But Curt, you're actually going to be, you're not coming down for Horror Nights this year.
No, well, this year, plans are not quite definite. I'm thinking about doing Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Hollywood.
All right.
Just so you can check out the Super Mario Brothers.
Well, that too. That now I can do 2 at the same time, and might probably do Not Scary Farm.
Not Scary
as well.
Farm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I can do I get all that done. I might actually spring for the Universal Hollywood annual pass this time because of the Nintendo World. I'll probably want to go back and see that more than once. I'm sure.
Yeah, that Fast and Furious coaster. Lots of stuff coming hopefully for that park.
Yeah, and the next time Curt does come down, we will be doing the Universal escape rooms.
Oh yeah.
We were hoping Curt was going to be down here, but no, he had to thing.
Well, you guys can always come out here to Hollywood.
That is true. It's just Money, time. It's always
To be
an
fair,
obstacle.
To be fair, I do need to.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for all of us here at Park Geeks for this week. We will try to get back to a regular schedule and try to give you guys some more content. I've been wanting to make some videos about alternative attractions. Like Curt took me to this thing called the Winchester Mystery House.
Mm-hmm.
He took me to Alcatraz. I collect videos and photos of that. I need to turn that into real videos for you guys to all watch. He needs to make videos based off these regional parks. So more content is coming than just the podcast. But so until then, take care, everyone. Good night.
Yeah, have a good night, everybody.